So Black Widow's a film. Okay, thank goodness it's not a spider, right? Oh, what's this? Hey, what's up and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today I'm going to be taking a sidestep away from the Critics' Initiative, but still talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the 24th film in the universe and first film in the fourth phase overall. It's Black Widow. Black Widow stars Scarlett Johansson in her final appearance as the character Black Widow, who first appeared in the third MCU film Iron Man 2 back in 2010. And it takes place between the events of Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War, so it's a bit of a prequel and sequel depending on how you look at it. In this one, we dive much deeper into Natasha's background and how she got to be who she was by first going through a dark, essentially enslaved background as a Russian assassin, and how she left that lifestyle behind to become an Avenger, and how she has to face it once again when she receives a message from her sister, who is still a part of that Widow Assassins program and needs Black Widow's help to take down the entire program from the inside, which proves to be really hard when the man at the top is untouchable and his bodyguard can learn and mimic your every move. It's like fighting a mirror. My biggest worry about this film came right down to the idea that, I didn't really know the point in making the film. Maybe back in 2010 when she first showed up in Iron Man 2, I feel like a backstory at that point in her own film could probably be more important timing-wise than now, especially given the events of Infinity War and Endgame. I figured it was made because they never got around to it until now. Fans were also demanding it, and so they just kind of gave in. So maybe it was peer pressure, fan service. No way could it actually be important now to the MCU, could it? In a way, it is, but at the same time, it also feels unimportant to the universe. I'll try to explain what I mean in a second, but first, I did want to say that, in general, I had a lot of fun with this movie. I didn't think I would because of those worries that I had, but it turns out, as a movie on its own, it's still a heck of a lot of fun. The action is top-notch, the newly introduced characters are even better. You got Florence Pugh as Yelena, and unsurprisingly, she does great. Florence is a great young actress that continues to impress wherever she shows up. You have David Harbour as Alexei, or the Red Guardian, who's essentially a Russian version of Captain America. You have Taskmaster, who is an amazing villain, and they remind me of how threatening Kilgrave was in the Jessica Jones series on Netflix, where the more they show up, the more impossible they seem to defeat. You also got Ray Winstone as General Dreykov, and his character was fine. I didn't love him, but he did do a good job as well. As for Black Widow herself, I think this film was more important for her development than it was in advancing the MCU. It definitely broke down why she was an Avenger, why all this was important to her, why she considers the Avengers family, all that. And I definitely appreciated that aspect, instead of just leaving her as this character that's nothing more than, muscle, essentially. Her character does have depth, and it's a depth that I think most people can feel for. And Johansson did a good job believably pulling it all off. Where does this fit as a film that advances the future of the MCU? I would mostly argue the end credit scene does most of that. And it's all essentially a Disney Plus stinger more than anything else. So there may be things going on in this film that you kind of need to have watched to fully understand the later projects by Marvel. But that's usually the case with these movies. I'd say a majority of this movie, though, was pretty standalone, which again makes me think that even though it's important from a character development standpoint, it's not as important from a universe perspective. For some, that's fine. For others, I don't know, I guess it depends. So let's go ahead and break down my final score. From an unbiased technical perspective, I think that this movie, all around, was pretty solid. I think at certain points it has some unavoidable issues in terms of visuals, like some stuff with green screen stuff, or even an overabundance of CGI type of scenes. But it's not a constant thing. The cinematography is great, gives the entire film an almost stylized feel. The characters are definitely well fleshed out. All around, I'd say that this movie is a pretty great film on a technical level. So that unbiased score is 82%. From a biased perspective, I enjoyed the movie a lot more than I thought I would, and I probably never liked Scarlett Johansson in this role more than I do now. She's likable, relatable, And this is a pretty good send-off for her, even though they already gave her a send-off in Endgame, literally. I found the villains to be threatening, and for the plot to be good enough, even if it was relatively basic stuff. My bias score is at 92%, and when we average out the two scores together, we come to the final rating of 87%. 87 out of 100 possible stars, or an A- letter grade. By the way, on my rewatch of MCU films, I have this score the same as The Incredible Hulk, which to me is absolutely insane, because I love The Incredible Hulk, and for the longest time, very little ever beat it. So this is high praise, at least from me. Anyways, Black Widow, what do you guys think about it? Have you seen it? And if you haven't, are you looking forward to it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I get back to my Critics Initiative program. And the next movie that I talk about with that is set to be Iron Man 2. So make sure that you don't miss out on that. And until then, peace out.
Dave examines movies we just watch for fun. Davey is the expert. He is the #1 critic that I go to when I need